Welcome to Cricket World TV. I'm John Pennington, and we're starting a brand new series of shows with our friends at Pushback Psychology. And I'm going to introduce them first of all. I'm going to say hello to Helen Staff and Jennifer Hobson. First of all, Helen, good evening to you.
Good evening.
And Jennifer, same to you. Good evening.
Good evening, John.
And as this is the first in a series of shows looking at psychology, mental health, and a few other issues, we're just going to ask you guys to really introduce yourselves to our Cricket World viewers. Start off with you, Jennifer.
Yep, well, as John has said, my name is Jennifer, and Helen and I have started Pushback Psychology. So I'm currently at the moment starting towards getting my applied psychology status sorted out, so that will be me for the next 2 years. And I'll be hopefully doing a bit more applied work in this area while I do that.
And Helen, if you can just introduce yourself for us.
Hi, yes, so like John said, I'm Helen. I take more sort of the research role in the company. So I'm currently studying a PhD in Leeds on stress and coping and lecturing in psychology up there as well.
Fantastic. Well, the topic we're going to be looking at today is mental health, and I'm going to start off with a fairly open question, I suppose, and it's to you, Helen. What is mental health?
So yeah, okay. So the dictionary describes mental health as referring to a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. And mental health problems can range from everyday stresses all the way through to sort of serious long-term illnesses. And these long-term illnesses are categorised as mental health disorders, whereby those problems have to be diagnosed by a doctor. They're not just sort of speculated or anything like that. And these can affect the way that you think, feel, and behave. So they can range from such things as depression, where you've got a continual low mood, or all the way through to sort of things like schizophrenia, where people sort of lose touch with reality and sometimes experience hallucinations.
Yeah, a huge range of things there. Jen, why is there a stigma surrounding mental health?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think if we go into what a stigma actually is, it's sort of a sort of negative opinion, automatic opinion of what mental health disorders are. And I think that comes about for a number of reasons. And I think, first of all, it's that people are often scared of what mental health means because they don't know enough about it. So having a lack of education about what mental health disorders are, what it's like to live with a mental health disorder, and actually what we can do to help other people. I think that's one of the key things that sort of deters people from talking about this topic, as well as spreading its knowledge, because people are a little bit scared about what they're going to hear, and they don't know how to deal with people. So being scared and being unaware together are two of the main problems. But another issue about mental health problems, which doesn't help its cause, is that they aren't visible from the outside like a normal health problem. So, for example, if someone had injured themselves in a car accident and they couldn't walk anymore, you would be able to see that from the outside, because they might be using a wheelchair or something like that. But if someone has a mental health disorder, there's nothing on the outside that you can see at all. It's all inside. So I think that as well unnerves some people, because they don't know that it's there, which is understandable, really. So I think those three key factors are probably what contribute to this negative stigma around mental health disorders, mental health illness.
Do you think this sort of negative stigma is, are we getting better at sort of communicating about mental health, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're definitely on the increase, because there are more high-profile cases in the news and things about people openly talking about their own problems, which does a world of good to help raise awareness. But also, it does a lot of good to help people actually speak out about problems they have. Because another issue might be that someone might be living with a problem. They might feel depressed at home, but because they don't feel like it's something they're okay to talking about, even when it's their own experiences, then they may be less likely to do that, and therefore less likely to seek help, and it becomes an even worse problem. But people talking out about their experiences, sharing their experiences, definitely is helping at the moment. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I suppose there's always more we could do. But Helen, what can influence and affect mental health issues?
So yes, so there's a range of things that can affect mental health, ranging from stuff like physical activity, through to diet, smoking, and stress as well. These can all impact on your mental well-being. Um, so your ability to cope with stress and situations like that can eliminate bad mental health, and therefore allow you to sort of evaluate situations in more of a positive light, which sort of produces sort of this good area of mental health. However, negative mental health can occur from such things such as emotional abuse or abandonment, and also you've sort of got things like social exclusion. This can increase the likelihood of bad mental health, as it can cause individuals to sort of begin feeling alone or feel like they've got nobody out there really that they can talk to.
Yes, I was sort of going to say, something I've seen is about how trying to keep active and keep sort of social can help sort of, improve your mental health. Is that something you'd sort of go along with and recommend?
Yeah, definitely. There's that element of which I think a lot of people know. So if you go out for a jog, you sort of get that runner's high, and you feel a lot more confident, and that your self-esteem's boosted, and the fact that you can sort of achieve more in that element. So yeah, definitely physical activity is something that I would promote for your mental well-being. However, obviously, as we'll discuss later, you still see sports stars who might have problems.
We'll come on to that in a little bit, but how common are mental health disorders? Is it widespread?
I think it is more common than people initially think, and that's probably because, like I mentioned earlier, people can't see it, they can't observe it in people. So mental health problems are common throughout the UK, and in fact, statistics show that 1 in 4 people do actually suffer from mental health disorders or a mental health problem at some point in their lifetime. So given that so many people have mental health issues, it's really silly for people to consider that it's something embarrassing to talk about, because you need to be okay talking about it, because the statistics stack up against you, that you will have to deal with this most likely at some point in your lifetime. So but yeah, much more common than is initially thought, and something that needs to be, the awareness needs to be raised of that fact.
I think that's quite a striking thing there. I mean, you say can hit you almost any time of your life. What about children? Can they become depressed?
Unfortunately, yes, they can. And in fact, 1 in 10 children between the ages of 1 and 15 has a mental health disorder. And half of these mental health disorders show the first signs between ages 14, and 3/4 of those are before age 24. So yeah, unfortunately, children are at risk of depression and at risk of other mental health disorders as well. So it really is important to remember that they're an important population sample to be keeping aware of, because we'd obviously, if you've got it in childhood, you're more likely then to carry that through into adulthood as well. But another thing that's important to note is that mental health problems are also more common in girls than in boys. Statistics have shown that. Now that could reflect either girls being more likely to talk out about it, and boys more likely to keep it close to their chest. So it is important especially to take account of the girls' mental health and mental well-being of girls, but also not to forget about boys as well, because they do suffer from mental health disorders as well. So yeah, both boys and girls of all ages.
When we sort of get to the point that sports stars suffer from depression, mental health issues, and that obviously gets out into the public, we quite often see everybody seems to have an opinion. Like if we turn it back to cricket, we can talk about Jonathan Trott, Michael Yardley, Marcus Trescothick, and others. How wise is it to sort of really pass judgment on these high-profile or even not so high-profile cases of mental health?
So you don't know what's going on in somebody's head, and when you maybe ask somebody and you say, "Hey, how are you?" and they give you maybe an answer, you have to sort of think: do we listen to what they're saying, or is what they're actually saying what they're encountering on a day-to-day basis? So the press continually speculate over these celebrities, and especially the recent case of Jonathan Trott comes to mind, like you said. So here the press were really quick to pass judgment on the situation and on the individual without actually personally knowing Jonathan Trott or any individual they'd spoken about. And also all they did was pass judgment on what had been reported. So they have no idea there, and they can't say that what's being reported is remotely similar to what's actually going on in that individual's head and the situation at the time. So my sort of advice in that regard is, next time maybe you see someone who you don't think's maybe acting the way that you'd expect them to, maybe don't pass a judgment and just simply maybe talk to them a little bit more, because there's always probably a deeper explanation to things.
I suppose, as with most things, it's vitally important to find out the facts first, and then you make a judgment or say what you need to say.
Definitely.
And final question, really, and this is one for you, Jen, is how can we help friends and family who we believe may be suffering from mental illness? Because you've said already how important it is to get help and get people to speak out.
Yeah, well, I think one of the key things is just to be able to have these conversations about mental health disorders and actually be there for the person that's suffering from one. So we can help them in all stages of the problem, whether that's being encouraging them to go and seek treatment, as well as helping them through the treatment processes, because a lot of treatments nowadays, some of the ones that are the most powerful are actually talking therapies and counselling therapies. So if someone can help them in regimes that they go through, then that would be a brilliant thing for someone to provide. But also there are a number of non-judgmental and useful organisations out there that can be contacted and spoken to completely confidentially, who also provide advice and give any counselling whenever it's required. So such companies include the Samaritans, NHS Direct, Childline for children if they have any problems or anything like that, and Sane Line and Mind Info Line. There's numerous ones which can be quite easily found if you put in a Google search. So yeah, there are a number of things that can be done to support these people, whether that's the people who are closest to that individual or people who are distant, and can help from afar.
Yes, as I was going to say, I think there are a number of websites out there as well that help too, or certainly help you find the right number or the right company to really help you out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure we get those numbers and websites up on the page for you. But that just about brings an end to our discussion today on mental health with our friends at Pushback Psychology. Jen and Helen, thank you ever so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having us.
And do look out for future shows on our coaching page on cricketworld.com and on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for joining us here on Cricket World.